Alright, so we are on the last video here of how to make a radio commercial, but again, you can use this for a lot of different purposes. But we are looking at the multi-track where I'm happy with everything's at. I didn't want to bore you with the last video. I moved some things around to try to make the timing work out a little bit, make it sound a little bit more polished. So now we are ready. We are ready to mix this thing down. This 30-second promo, we're ready to mix this down and to get into one cohesive file. Like cohesive, I don't know if that's the right word, but anyway, we're ready to get this to one file to send it off to the radio station or to whomever you are sending it to for completion. Social media, I don't know where you're putting it, but anyway, so let's go on over here. Let's take a look at the multi-track. So here's the final session here. Now I can't stress this enough, and I know it sounds silly, but make sure you save your session, save all the files in your session. Believe me, it will. It sounds silly, you know. I know you know to save stuff, but I can't tell you the amount of times I've had to come back and revise something. I've forgotten to save one waveform file. It's not there anymore, and I have to go find it and put it in again. So make sure you're saving everything. All right, so everything's saved because you're a responsible. You are a responsible audio producer. You've saved everything. You've saved the session. So go up here to File, hit that little export button, and go to Multi-Track Mixdown, and you're going to mix down the entire session. Okay, and I have it in its own folder here. You know, I'm very organized. I have it in its own folder. The title, that's fine. File name's fine. I'm saving it as an MP3, 192-bit MP3. That should be fine. Let's go ahead and make it happen. We're going to hit OK. I actually did this already. I've already saved this one, but that's okay. We're going to overwrite the one I saved. You won't have to answer this one. But yeah, we're going to overwrite this. And now we're going to go up here. This is the waveform, the mixdown waveform. Double click that and it will pull up your waveform view. Alright, so there's a couple final steps that you should do here. Number one, we got some dead space at the beginning of this. That's fine. We're gonna grab that. We're gonna click and we're gonna drag that from about the time it starts all the way back to the beginning. Alright, and then go Control X or Command X, cut that off. And now we have a spot that is 30.9 seconds. There's a little bit of fade at the end. We could probably tighten that up. Let's go ahead and trim the end of that. Alright, so we've trimmed the end of that, and then you can grab this little fader thing up here, this little fade out thing. Grab that, and then that's going to fade the rest of that straight down. Okay, great. 30.297. Now, for the most part, that's going to be okay for your applications. For the most part, they'll let you get away with half a second here or there, or maybe a full second here or there. But if you had something that you really had to get it exactly 30 on the nose, you can go up here to Effects, and under Effects there is Time and Pitch, and you can go to Stretch and Pitch. Okay? And you could set the exact time. Maybe you could set the exact time. How do I do that? Let's try 30. What happens if I do 30? Yeah, there you go. You can set the exact time to 30 seconds, and this should preserve your pitch at 0 right here, so it shouldn't change your pitch. If you mess with that either way, it's going to shift you up or down an octave, or 2, or 3, or however many. But you can see this is 99.02% is what we're stretching from what we currently have. All right, so if you had to go exactly on time, you could do that, hit Apply, and it will stretch you down to exactly. If you go to the very end here, let's do that. Let's drag it all the way down to the very end, and you can see we're ending at exactly 30 seconds right there. Fantastic. Okay, although I just moved it, but exactly 30 seconds. Great. All right, so your time's good, everything's good. Now remember we talked in the second video on this, we talked about multiband compression, and we also talked about the hard limiter, right? The hard limiter, again, going back to that analogy of that my friend Matt likes to say, it's like cutting the grass, basically. It's just taking off the top and making it a nice even cut, okay? And here's why this is so important. So I've had files come in my job in broadcast radio. I've had files come in where if you look at this, if you see like these peaks right here, now these aren't ridiculous. Like these are actually pretty close to these smaller ones as far as their decibel range. But I've had jobs come in where they were way up here. Let's way over exaggerate that. So your peak up here was ridiculous and the rest of it was pretty even for the most part. Well, here's what's going to happen. When somebody goes to put that into their system, they are going, you don't have to worry about this right now, but I'm going to show you this. We're going to normalize. I'll walk you back through this in just a second. So we're going to normalize to 10 dB, to negative 10 dB, excuse me. That was the standard way that we put files into our system at the radio station. And if you apply that, you see this is all very quiet now, except for this one peak. So what's going to happen as a result is that your commercial, if you do something like that, your commercial is going to be very, very quiet compared to everything else on the air. People aren't really going to be able to hear it, and then all of a sudden they'll be able to hear this little section fine, but that's the danger you can run into. Does that make sense? So you don't want to do that because you want people to be able to hear what you're doing, right? All right, so let's undo that. We'll go Command or Control Z, and we'll go backward, and we'll go backward one more time. Okay, great. So what we're going to do to prevent anything like that from happening is we're going to hard limit this final waveform. Again, we're not going to be aggressive with this. We just want to cut off the peaks so that it's a nice even waveform right here, okay? So let's go over here to kind of our ruler, our decibel ruler on the side, and use this as a reference point. So you see -6. Let's look at -6, that line going across. You got some peaks there that are getting cut off. You got some peaks there. All right, there you go. So that's kind of where, if you follow that line, that's where everything's going to get cut off. I think that for this, I think that's a little too aggressive. I don't think -3 is aggressive enough. So we're going to kind of split the difference between 6 and 3. Let's do, I don't know, let's do -5. Let's do a -5 hard limit. So again, effects, amplitude and compression. We're going to go down here to hard limit. And then we're not going to boost anything in the input, so don't worry about that. Don't really worry about the look ahead or the release time. That's just kind of hangs out there. And we're going to go -5. -5 decibels is where we're going to hard limit. And again, the idea with hard limit is that it's basically going to mow the grass. It's going to cut off everything at whatever threshold you set it to. And so no decibels can go above that level. It's the hard ceiling right there, so they can't go above that. So we're going to go -5 here, apply that, and you see we have a nice, consistent, even waveform going across here. Now you'll notice at the end that this stuff is quieter. That's because my voiceover is over right there, and I'm allowing about 5 seconds or so, 6 seconds of room for them to come in and tag other businesses. All right, so I'll let you hear the end of that.
Special appearance dates or register all summer long at one of these participating businesses.
So you get the idea. That's a little tail that they requested that I leave on this one so they can tag in other businesses. And that's basically about it. From here, you could normalize it if you wanted to. It depends on, and it really depends on whoever you're giving this to, whatever media you're putting this into, whatever it's calling for. As a general rule of thumb, I kind of stick around -3, -4 for my normalization. Basically, that's all that's going to do is it's really just going to amplify the volume to that level. That tends to be pretty safe. Some people like to go all the way to 0. I don't particularly like to do that. I don't know why, I just don't. I think -3, -4 in that area is fine. There might be things you get into where they call for a certain normalization decibel. They might say -10. Like I said, I think I just mentioned that, but at the radio station, everything we put into the system was -10 dB. And that's just how we had it, because our inputs, I believe, on the other side that we sent the signal out were boosted +10. I think that's why we did that. Anyway, so you might get somebody calling for that, but that's where you can find that. Effects, amplitude and compression, normalize, and for now, just for the sake of this, we'll do normalize to -4. And hit apply, and there you go. There's your waveform at -4, and all you got to do is save it. So Control or Command Save, and it's going to say, "Hey, you're doing this into a compressed format. Do you care or something?" And I'm like, "No, it's cool. Go for it." And there you go. You are done. Your MP3 now exists, and it sounds like this.
Radio and Whole Broadcasting are trimming the money tree and giving you the chance to win $20,000 cash. Manweiler Chevrolet.
Okay, I won't make you listen to the whole thing, but that's kind of the idea. So I hope this whole series, I hope this helped you. I hope this helped you to understand some of the different aspects of recording voiceovers, adding music, adding sound effects, playing around with multi-track a little bit to be able to create some different layers and some effects with your voice. Hope that helps you a lot. And hey, if you liked it, if this helped, give me a thumbs up, man, and hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate you subscribing, and maybe I can share some other interesting things with you in the future. Or if you hated this and you're like, that didn't help at all, then you can give me a thumbs down, and you can leave me a scathing comment in the comments below. Okay, so thanks for watching. Again, I really do hope it helped you.